Back here talking the NBA now. Top two favorites in the East, Bucks and Nets, with the top two superstars in the East, Giannis and KD, and James Harden. And this one lived up to its billing. Durant with a clutch go-ahead three with 36 seconds left to win it. He had 30. Harden had 34. Nets beat writer once upon a time, Mr. Chris Broussard, is joining us now. Broussard, did last night prove the Nets are now the team to beat in the East?
Jenna, the Brooklyn Nets are indeed the team to beat in the Eastern Conference. When in your second game together as a new bunch, you beat the #1 team in the conference. When as your second game together as a new bunch, you shoot 55% against one of the best defensive teams in the NBA for the last several years. And two things were evident as well last night, one for each team. Number one, the Nets can get a stop when they need to. You don't have to be a tremendous defensive team to win the championship. You gotta be decent. You gotta be decent, and you have to be capable of getting a stop in key moments. They showed that they can do that. And number two, and it's related, Milwaukee's go-to guy is Chris Middleton, and that's a problem. All right, as good as he is, he's not on the upper tier level. He's not even second tier star in this league. Giannis had one shot in the last 3 minutes, and this is not new, but it was just evident last night. One shot in the last 3 minutes, and it was a put-back dunk that wasn't even called for him. Chris Middleton took 5 shots in the last 3 minutes. When Chris Middleton's your go-to guy, you got issues in the playoffs, because in the playoffs, it comes down to you having guys, or at least a guy, that when all else fails, he can go and get it. In a 7-game series, they know your plays. They know your calls. They know what you want to do with the basketball. And even though you may know what I want to do, you know my tendencies. You know when I dribble 2 times with my left hand, I'm going up with a jumper. You still can't stop me. Milwaukee has 0 players like that. Philadelphia has maybe one. Maybe, and I'm giving Embiid some credit. I'm being generous. Boston's got a couple, but they're not as good as the Brooklyn guys. Brooklyn's got 3 unstoppable scorers, period. So when all else fails, when your defense knows what we're doing, when everything's broken down, any one of those guys can either get their shot or draw a double or triple team, and somebody's getting an open shot, and they got shooters. And so, look, all that said, I can't ignore the elephant in the room, the million-dollar question, and I'll get to it after you guys speak. But, yeah, Kyrie Irving, how he fits in strategically, mentally, and emotionally is the absolute only question around this team as to whether or not they win the East. That's it. That's the only one.
Well, let's sit Kyrie to the side right now, and let's talk about last night. You just said you got guys that can create, and people are going to be wide open. They got shooters. So do we not want to talk about Joe Harris? 5 for 7 last night from the 3-point line. Oh, my goodness. A lot of people are asking, well, how is this going to fit? How is he going to work within this offense? Well, look, he's wide open, and he's knocking down shots. For them to start this way, with no chemistry, they can't even run their offense right now, and you're getting 30 points a night, 40 points here from KD and James Harden. You have this team is the best in the East, but potentially in the NBA. I'm telling you, Nick, when we get to the finals, whether it's the Clippers or the Lakers, they have real problems, because nowadays it's about offense. I know you have this big thing about defense, but Chris, you were preaching, you were talking about they can just get a stop at any moment. That's all we need. And you're talking about going against a team. They did this against a team that have 2 of the premier defensive players. You have what's his name? Giannis
and Drew Holiday.
You have Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday.
Yeah.
Did you see Drew Holiday last night? He looked good, and they still dropped 30 and 34 points. Come on, man. You got to come on to this side. It's okay.
Preach. Listen. Nick, there's time.
Broussard, Brandon, listen. The Nets would be the unquestioned favorite in the Drew League, they would, no doubt about it, would run the court at Rucker all day long. But if you have to get stops, they're screwed. So a few things here. One is they're currently the 19th ranked defense in basketball, and if Kyrie comes back, I'm sure he'll help them get closer to 29th. Two, Broussard said, oh my God, the first 2 games together, 2-0 and look great. If only there was an...
This is in the hands of everyone else. You're not getting that guy the ball. He's looking on the other side of the field, seeing Jalen Ramsey, and he's like, this guy shut me down week after week after week. It's my time to shine and actually dominate. But everybody on TV is talking about, you know, look at this matchup. This kid can't get it done. So you know what Jalen Ramsey's going to do, continue to do if DK Metcalf is not given the opportunity, he's going to continue to shut him down. And then DK Metcalf is going to continue to have these outbursts. DK Metcalf is the next Megatron. So you're going to ask the next Megatron to go block on first, second, third down, when on the first down you're given the best opportunity to win, because that's when you usually get one-on-one matchups. I think there's going to be a lot of sleepless nights in Seattle, Nick, because Pete Carroll is botching this era. This is no longer the Legion of Doom. You don't have Earl Thomas. You don't have those guys on the other side. The only way you can get it done is have a change of philosophy and say, we're going to win and lose with Russell Wilson. Adam Gase is your answer? No, you need to go get somebody who have a balanced approach and know how to utilize his skill sets to the best of their ability.
Keep Brandon on the screen. Brandon, I got a quick question for you. I meant to ask you this before the show, and I just couldn't look it up. I couldn't remember. Your last NFL catch, who threw it to you?
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson. You were in Seattle for some time.
That's right. That was my real last cup of tea.
There. Right, your real last.
Absolutely.
I know you were other places, but your last game played in the NFL was with Seattle, and you have some relationships there. Is that fair to say? Made some friends along the way.
Fair to say. Fair to say. 100%.
Okay. America, Brandon Marshall is telling you the Seattle Seahawks are on the precipice of a major issue. America, unlike Brandon Marshall's terrible Nets take, listen to him on this, please. It is something sincere and serious, and it is not just... there's a lot of things we could be talking about today. LeBron James missed a game-winning 3 last night. Didn't make the show. I fought for it to make the show. I said, hey, Clutch Gene, we got to talk about it. There's conference championship games this weekend, and we're not talking about it because this right here is a bubbling, massive story. And it was a bubbling, massive story before the name Adam Gase got involved with it. But now, while that Adam Gase's name is involved with it, I feel like we are on the brink of, pardon me, a disaster in Seattle, not that dissimilar from the one we're seeing play out in Houston, even if it doesn't have any of the very real-world social justice tentacles that one does. Because if you are deciding not to empower your future first ballot Hall of Fame Super Bowl champion quarterback and instead further empower your soon-to-be 70-year-old head coach to play the game the way he thinks it should be played rather than modern NFL football, I think you're going to have a major issue, and I think that is why Brandon is sounding this alarm. So I don't know what you do, Seattle, but I do know this, John Schneider and the Allen family. You have a talk with Pete Carroll, and you ask him if he wants to modernize the offense. And if he doesn't, and he's stubborn in his approach, then you might have to have a very uncomfortable conversation with Pete Carroll about whether or not it makes sense there, because you cannot sour the well on the relationship with the best player in franchise history, Russell Wilson, Brandon Marshall.
Yeah, but the challenge and the issue, Nick, is Pete runs everything there. Pete has all the power. I was there. So, yeah, I have relationships with a couple of those guys in that locker room, a couple of people in that organization. I love John Snyder. When I was leaving Denver, you know, I was the first guy that they called. They wanted me to come for that rebuild. I end up going to Miami, my dumb butt. I love Coach Pete Carroll. I was there. I was able to have those conversations with him. And I had those conversations with Russell.